How do you define creativity?
I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know I'm doing it really, really well.
How would you introduce yourself to someone you just met?
Okay, so hi, I'm Mo. I'm a Cuban artist and I'm based in Miami. I love to create mood boosting art and it's very reflective of my Cuban culture. If you can't tell with me speaking with my hands, I'm
Right.
Cuban. And my life in Miami. I'm really close to my Cuban family. So everything that reminds me of them sparks joy. And I love to reflect that in my art. So from the concepts to the colors, like you can really feel the energy of Miami in my work. And I like to say I'm a multifaceted artist because I don't stick to one medium. So I paint, I illustrate, I dabble in jewelry design. I'm even starting to learn some glass art because my boyfriend's a full-time glass artist.
Shout out, Alex.
Yes, Alex was on your episode a couple weeks ago, so that was a great one. And then my latest venture is I started Art Bubble, and it's essentially the sister brand of Glass Bubble, which is the glass studio that we own together. And I'm offering creative classes that are unique to the community so that you can let your inner child out through creativity. So that's been really fun. And all of that kind of fits under the bow of Moart. That's my art brand. And then outside of that, I do have a 9 to 5 where I'm a creative director at a public relations agency. And I focus on social media and culture and work with some pretty high profile clients like McDonald's. I just got briefed with Walmart, Shark Ninja, and also worked on public health back in the day. So I've done a spectrum of different clients. So I really live and breathe creative from my 9 to 5, 5 to 9 weekends. And I was just like born being creative, you know? So I love every aspect of my life because of that. I know, like, where do I start? It's complicated.
Yeah, so you have a 9 to 5, but you're also an artist, but they're both have to do with in the creative arts. Mm-hmm. But have you said you were born a creative, like right out the womb?
Yeah, I mean, if you could peek in my childhood bedroom walls, it's literally full of Crayola and crayon. Like my mom really gave me that artistic freedom since I was a child. And I even remember when I was in elementary school, I was like hustling the kids, being like, oh, you want Powerpuff Girls? I got you 50 cents. And I would draw and sell it. But to be honest, my artistic journey, like in the beginning, I was really creative, but I'm from an immigrant family. My family's Cuban. So there was a sense of me when I started getting towards college and my professional life. I was like, okay, I need something that's stable. I don't want to be a starving artist. So that kind of turned me away from being an artist for a little bit. But I was lucky that I started to explore it a little bit more. And, you know, I just enjoy the process of it. And I started taking it a little bit more serious and got really lucky that my partner is a full-time artist and he saw something in me that I didn't at the time. And I felt like because I hadn't studied art professionally and wasn't trained, I didn't feel like I almost like earned that title to call myself an artist. And he was like, wait a minute, you make art, so you're an artist. And that's where Mo Art was really born because I started an Instagram to finally show people what I had been making for so long. And I would just like keep it behind closed doors. I didn't think people wanted to see my art. So yeah, it's definitely been a journey, but I love creativity and art and anything that has to do with that.
Sometimes it just takes someone to tell you, like, yeah, you are an artist.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're always like thinking, like, oh, I'm not like on the same level as these people. But in reality, they don't even care. They're just like, yeah, you're making stuff. Of course you're an artist. But you think they have like this idea of what you have to be or how you have to study art or this and that. But it's like, nah, you're doing shit. Like we said.
Yeah, exactly. And you just have to get past that fear. And some people also think that it's like cringy to share your passions online. But one time I saw online that's like, I am cringe and I am free. Like, who cares what people think? Like, do your thing, make art, be creative. And then a lot of people in my family are very creative too, like my mom and my grandma. So whenever I would doubt myself on my creativity, I was like, hold on, I have the same blood and DNA as they do. And they taught me how to be creative and artistic. So I started embracing it more. And even in my 9 to 5 job, I started in, because it's public relations. So I was doing more like media and stuff like that. But I then found an opportunity where there was no one really being a creative director at the time. and I was younger. So I was like, hold on, like, let me take over this space. And I kept learning and getting curious and, just raising my hand to do more of that creative work. And then I started doing that for myself too, for the Moart brand, like just going forward and just whatever my soul would feel to create that day, I would do it and post about it and show my journey to social media as well. So
Yeah, I feel like we're all our own creative director, or we all should kind of be our own creative director, like tailor ourselves as if we were a big brand or business, but just like, curate, and not in a corny way, like everything I'm going to wear, or like, but just like how you live your life and how you want to present yourself. Do you think you took things from your take things from your 9 to 5 and apply them into your artist life?
For sure. I mean, sometimes it can be a blessing and a curse because, like, for example, when I was exploring my style, when you work with clients, they have set brand guidelines and you know exactly what to make, what's their vision, how to recreate it. But then when Moart was building, I was like, almost being too rigid with myself, making stylistic decisions and trying too hard to have my style. And then when I started to let go a little bit and go more into flow mode, then I was like experimenting and putting together things that I like and leaving behind things that I didn't. And that's how I ended up finding my style, just being myself, But that's so different than working for big brand clients who they know who they are, they know their brand and you have to follow it. Whereas I had to create my brand from scratch, and it's more vulnerable because it's me and who I am and expressing myself. So although I learn a lot, like for example, marketing myself, even managing social media, that has helped me so much, even with promoting Glass Bubble as well. I'm the creative director there also, and even help my sister with her Pilates brand. So there's been a lot of advantages of working for this big corporate brand to then, my other brands get to benefit as well, basically.
No, and even the fact that you had the awareness of like, okay, I have to create my brand. Because some artists they're like, oh, I paint. That's it. Like, I'm just going to show my paintings. But you kind of had a little strategy behind it, even though it was rigid at first. But like you had that from your job. But do you think also on the other side, like you take things from your artist life into your 9 to 5?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's insane, but I feel like some people just have that creative eye and some don't. And it's so obvious to me when I'm in my corporate job.
Yeah, that's true.
Even though I do believe everyone is creative at their core, but having a visual eye is very different to know when things look good and when they don't. So yeah, it's definitely a mutually beneficial relationship. But at the same time, it's hard working so many hours for a company and then being able to shut that down because I have a blessing where I have really good focus. So it gets to the point where 5 o'clock comes along and my brain is still spinning for my job and I have to shut it down and be like, okay, it's time to create art and release and have fun versus being a director and like, having clients to respond to, et cetera. Like I am my own client. So I have to have that discipline to show up for myself the same way that I show up for my clients in my job.
Oh, no, that's awesome. Because it's like you might be working at your job, but you still have like things that you take from your artist of like, oh, maybe I'll take a risk on this. Like I know the client says this, but I'm feeling this might work or whatever it is. But I always like think of an analogy of like because I'm a big MMA fighting fan, but like there's fighters that are like born to fight. And then there's like athletes that are really good at fighting, but they're not fighters at heart. And they're all fighters and they all put it all on the line, but you can tell the difference of someone who just like, they just got that thing.
Yeah,
that like,
exactly.
Like you might
like have, spark.
Yeah, like you might train like high intensity, be the best athlete, like write down all your metrics, like use science, this and that. But when you're in the ring, it's like there's that heart. So it's like, there's like everyone's creative, but then there's people that maybe they learn traditionally or they have a corporate job or they're more structured. And then there's people that just like, they could just come up with stuff on the fly and it's just that they adapt and it's like, you could tell the difference, like you said.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, for sure. And I feel like I read this book called The Artist's Way and it was incredible. It was like kind of a workshop / book where you would read things and at the end of the chapter there were all these questions to really like dig into yourself. And I feel like that's part of being an artist, right? And like having that fire is exploring yourself and being vulnerable and learning that like you have to get past that fear of what other people think about your art and do it for the process and not necessarily for the product, you know? And that book also taught me to focus on the quantity over the quality, right? Because if you're too focused on how something's gonna look at the end, you lose that momentum of the process and really enjoying every step and how everything comes together. So yeah, I totally feel you. Like you have to almost build that fire and like keep kindling it, you know, to keep it alive.
What they say is like paralysis by analysis.
Yes.
You're just like analyzing what people are going to think, how's it going to come out. And then
what color do I do? Like,
you just don't do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you use social media as a tool to present your art? Because it is very vulnerable and it's like you doing it.
No, yeah. In the beginning, it was really hard for me and I didn't even want to show my face, to be honest. But again, going back to Alex, full-time artist, like he's great on social and he's like, just grabs the camera and looks at it. So I've become a little bit better at showing myself and my art. And I also really love to show the process of me creating something because there's a lot of artists who have these perfect Instagrams and it's always like the final product. And you think that that's all they do, but they have a sketchbook full of all of these drafts that never came to life and a mess. And so I like showing people that art is not just that final thing. It is a process and it's a lifestyle in the sense, right? Because like I'm always thinking about what I want to make next. I have a notes app on my phone with like 30 different ideas. And then when it gets to the point of creating something, I'm like, oh, what do I want to make? Even though I still have 30 ideas, you know? So yeah, it's definitely a great tool because you put yourself out there. But for me, it's also a little bit difficult because I work in social media at my job. So sometimes I feel like I want to get away from it and not consume too much because social can be a blessing and a curse in the sense that when you open it up, it's that algorithm just so trained to addict you and like you fall into it. Luckily, a lot of things on my algorithm are about art and motivating and learning like new skills and stuff. But definitely, I think it's essential in today's age. It's the new like website, right? Like that's how you represent yourself. That's how you build a community. So I'm glad that I finally got into it and started sharing things because how else are people going to know what I do, you know?
Nah, and it's like, because people always talk about the negative social media, but like even like you said, a positive algorithm. Like the other day, I was realizing like I was seeing all this dope shit. It wasn't even like anything news going on in the world or like negative. It was just like, oh, this guy is doing this. Oh, AI this or created it. And then I'm just like, I almost doom scrolled of positivity where I'm like, fuck, I need to make something. What do I make? What do I do? I want to make this. I want to make that. So I think like having a notepad or something to like at least write it down. Because sometimes I get in my head of like, damn, this is all so cool. Like, what can I make now? But then you're almost overanalyzing. Like, there's so many ideas, so many methods of like presenting your art.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like it's what you take of it, right? And you have to be in the right mindset because you can see all these incredible things that people are doing. And then you're like, oh, like, I'm not doing any of that. Like, I need to do better. I need to do more. Like, you get down on yourself. But then at the same time, you can take it as inspiration. Like, there's this artist that I've met. Her artist name is Koval. Her name's Diana, and she's from Miami, now based in New York. But seeing her profile on her account really inspired me, and I resonated a lot with her because she's Puerto Rican, so Hispanic female. And I love her art style. It's very colorful and creative. So you can use people like that to drive you. And sometimes it's like, oh, I wish I was doing what she was doing, you know? And then I feel like everyone has that person where they are aspirational to be like. But it's important to also come back to yourself and be like, I can do that too. You know, I'm capable, I'm strong, I'm creative, and just keep believing in yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
And like artist, creative director, business owner, you're managing the glass glass
bubble and art bubble.
And art bubble.
Yeah.
How do you have time to like experiment and play around and like try new things?
I don't. No, I'm kidding. But you know, I had a really good streak where on Saturday and Sunday mornings, I would call it my studio time. And I would tell my family, my friends, like, leave me alone. Like, this is my playtime and I'm just gonna allow myself to do whatever is on my mind. Because you can definitely burn out, especially with a 9-to-5 job that you're always on. And I say 9 to 5, but sometimes it's 9 to 7, you know, or like last week I was in Chicago and I worked a 15-hour day throwing an event for McDonald's. So you have to balance it. Sometimes work is really busy and you have to be easy on yourself and say like, hey, like now is the time to rest. Sometimes I would be hard on myself because I always want to be productive. And I think that comes from being from an immigrant family and like always wanting to hustle and like, you know, do more. But you have to take a step back and just analyze like, okay, time to rest, time to play, time to like, you know, lock in and do what you got to do. Because being an artist, like you're saying, it's not just creating, like it's also content creation, like editing videos, promoting yourself, marketing, trying to make sales, events, etc. So just within that one artist role, you're like 20 different people. So
no, it's something I realized, like, I mean, not even a while, like recently, is like, there's always something you could do. Like, there's never gonna be a time where there's like, okay, now I could just chill. Like, there's always like, you could always advance. There's always gonna be a list of things you could do, whether it's on your creative side, the business side, or entrepreneur, or cleaning things up, organizing for next week, or whatever. So I was like, one day I was just like I'm always gonna have a list, so I could just chill. Like, it's not like
it'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not like I'm gonna cross off all the lines and then tomorrow's gonna be empty. It's like there's always something you could be doing, so might as well. Like, I'm trying to get better, and I think I have gotten better at just doing nothing.
Exactly.
And being okay.
But that's important, honestly, because you have to have that time to allow your brain to think and be creative, you know, because if you're so bogged down with working, that's like no creative. So you have to be outside, get out, new environments. Another thing that this book, The Artist Way, I'm obsessed,
I'm gonna get it for
taught
sure.
me is artist dates. So once a week to try to go take yourself out. Don't invite anyone, not your partner, not your friend, not your mom, and go do something that your inner child would love. And it can be as simple as like going to a record store and just looking at like the covers of the art, or, you know, go to an art museum to like soak in inspiration. But you have to turn off your like working logical brain to open it up for inspiration, you know? And at my job, I like to tell people I manage to be a student of the world, right? Like, open up your eyes and your ears because inspiration's all around you. But if you're home, like on your computer, on your iPad, you're not going to get that, you know?
Yeah, you're like stuck in your own bubble.
Yeah.
I had a friend the other day that he actually, like, he called me because he was making music, but he's been like kind of in a creative rut, stuck, and he just called me to see what like I was working on. And he was like, yeah, because sometimes like I just have to, like, if I ask other people what they're up to, like just to see what's going on, then I get ideas, even if it's completely unrelated.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's such a useful tool. Like, and I mean, even having a space like this, like I'll come in and sometimes maybe it's not my day. So I'll like, oh, let me help you over here. And then it kind of like trickles back to you somehow. So I think, like, what did you call it? Or what did the author call it? A creative date?
Artist dates.
Artist dates.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's just like that dedicated time for yourself. Like, do 1 hour a week and just go explore and have fun and allow yourself to think, you know, like turn off your thinking brain, but think about the things you want to think about, not like everything external, internal.
Right.
Yeah.
So how is it then having a business and a partner that's also a creative? Because that's might be tough to navigate.
For sure. I mean, honestly, he inspires me so much. Like, that's our ultimate dreams, that we're both working on our creative businesses full time. So we'll get there soon enough. But right now, I'm honestly learning so much with the company that I work for, and just trying to soak all of that in and allowing that to benefit our companies. You know, our bubble she's like a newborn baby in business. Right. But we've had like 4 or 5 classes so far, and the Mayfair Hotel reached out a couple weeks ago, and I did a class there for Easter, and I hosted like 40 to 50 people doing it was a cafetera sculpture class, because I'm obsessed with Cuban coffee and like it's in my veins. And I started this series of making these cafetera sculptures. So I would paint, add charms to them. Each one had a theme and a name. And people were like, oh my God, I want to make my own. So I just like kept following what people wanted and started this class. And it's been so much fun. And I want to start introducing new classes. But I think he helped me see how much potential I have, and like to be limitless, right? Like, I used to identify a lot with my 9 to 5, and I was like, I am this. But no, I'm so much more than just that role, you know? So that helped me a lot to grow and get out of it.
And you have the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Because you have like that corporate job, but it also kind of feeds your creativity. And
yeah, it gives me the stability. And, you know, one time I heard someone say, like, you have to allow your job to pay for your dream. And that's okay. You know, I think sometimes people feel that if you have a job that's not artistic, I'm blessed to have a creative position, but some people don't. And they feel like they can't be an artist because they don't have that full-time paid artist job, you know, but just because what pays you doesn't define who you are as a human, you know?
Yeah. Or some people feel like because they have a job, like they can only focus on that.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
I feel like especially now with today's day, like you could have a job and have a side hustle and have 2 jobs and like it could be
exactly.
It's not who you are, it's just what you do. But you could have your style and everything. So yeah, I super agree with that. With the glass art, so I love that you guys are like teaching other people and inspiring like that creativity, because sometimes I feel like even with this podcast I forget, like, even if you could spark someone to try something, and you guys are literally like hands-on helping someone, but like that's literally could be the spark that like maybe I'll do that thing I was thinking about but I was too scared of, and like, try it.
Exactly. And like we want to make it very beginner so anyone can do it. I like to say that at least for our bubble, we're making classes for people who say that they're not creative. Like, I do believe that everyone has creativity inside them, you know, like I think life is full of creative energy wherever you look. So just giving people that space to play and like, again, like go back to being an inner child. I feel like when you're a kid, it's so easy for you to grab the crayons and like do whatever without overthinking it. And the older you get, people are like, no, I'm not creative. Like, I don't know how to draw. I only draw stick figures. And it's like, who cares? Like, it's fine to make bad art too, you know? Like, it's the process of it that is meditative and therapeutic, and it helps you so much. So it's very beneficial to see people who never pick up a crayon or anything and they make like a little sculpture for them. A lot of my friends came to my first classes and they never do art, but then seeing them like super focused and having fun, I'm like, you see, you had it in you the whole time. You had that spark too.
Nah, and it's crazy because literally, even if it's quote unquote bad art, like you could present that as your thing if you wanted to.
Art is subjective.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
No offense to artists out there, but during Basel, sometimes I go to fairs and I'm like, like that's subjective, but I wouldn't put that in my house, you know?
Yeah. No, but there's something that someone likes somewhere.
Exactly.
There's always like a market or an audience for it. It's just like, if you don't put it out there, you'll never know.
Like the same, para los gustos, los colores, right? Like everyone has their own thing that they like, and who knows, like why would your art not appeal to someone?
I love that. Like, so you have like these Cuban sayings that you use in your art.
That's one of my favorite projects. So like I said, my family is very Cuban. I was raised with my grandparents in my home. So speaking Spanish was not an option. Like if I wanted to communicate in my house, I had to learn. My grandpa was a really funny guy, and a lot of these like disparate that he would say, or like these dichos, like just live rent free in my head. So one of my favorite projects is bringing them to life. So things like ese huevo quiere sal, like I have a print about that. El diablo sabe más por ser viejo que ser diablo, like little sayings I've heard throughout my life and like bringing it back, you know. And unfortunately, I lost my grandparents during the COVID time, but I feel like that actually gave me a huge drive, and I wanted to bring them back to life through my art and like have that energy that they gave me and love. And that's one of my ways to honor them. And like I said, he was such a funny guy. And now a lot of the themes in my art are like sparking joy and like funny things, very vivid colors. So yeah, it's one of my favorite things. Like Cuban dichos.
I think your art is very Miami Cuban inspired.
I like to say Miami is my muse. But yeah, like if you see my art, super colorful, and you know, when it comes to Cuba and the Caribbean, Miami, a lot of it is tropical and has themes of the Caribbean, right? Like the ocean, the tropical flowers, the colors there, just the energy of it as a whole. I love, like I said, it's mood boosting art, because when people see my art, I want them to feel happy, whether it's the vibrancy of the colors or the illustrations that are funny and like make you like chuckle and like remember people from your past or your culture. So that's a big drive from my pieces.
Or the muecas.
Yes. Okay. So I can give you
I want to know more about
context of the muecas. So
because we all have them.
yeah, exactly. So I'm a very expressive person. If you have it, you can't tell. And my grandparents would always like, y esa mueca, like, quítate esa mueca, you know, like you can read me just by my facial. So because it, you know, it means facial expression. So I started making these faces called muecas, and it's really an exploration of self-identity because most of the times when I do the muecas, they're all together like 12 in one, and it represents all the different roles that I play in my life. You know, we've already talked about a lot of them together here. You know, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, a girlfriend, business owner, creative director, like it goes on and on. And most of the time when I draw them, they're all like in different directions, like upside up, sideways, right side up, because sometimes in your different roles, you show up differently, right?
Right.
And I also love to add a lot of color to them because they're also different. They're very diverse. And then a little special thing that the muecas have, always a little mole on the side of the lips because my grandma had a mole too. So that's just like a little shout out to her. But yeah, the mueca is like my signature face and like almost like one of my logos or icons. And I was really inspired by Atomic and A-Hole, the graffiti artists, because they have like that orange staple and then the A-Hole eye. And I see it everywhere and it's so recognizable. So I knew that I wanted something similar for myself. And then the mueca came to life. So it was really cool because I didn't force it. I just like, I was playing, you know, one day with art and I made it. And I was like, wait, I really like her. And then I just kept making her. And now she just lives with me.
Yeah,
it's part of me.
But it's cool because it's like literally we grew up hearing that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, esa mueca, or like, what are you making los muecas?
Exactly.
Like, but like to see it in art is really cool. But you mentioned Atomic and A-Hole. Do you have like any other inspirations, whether it's local or global? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I have a really long list of artists that I look up to. I mean, for sure, my mom, she's someone who studied art back in the day, and I always wanted to pursue something similar. And she was in the advertising field too, so I started going that route. Alex, of course, my partner, like he's a full-time artist, has a business, so I've seen so much potential of how an artist can be, right? Like where it can take you. I have another graffiti artist, Two Logs, that he has his tag all over Miami. And I'm like, damn, I need my art all over Miami too. Like that really inspires me. Also Ruth Burrote, she's an incredible anime artist and she has like an urban spin to it. And I actually manage her at my company, but she's also, I've known her for so long. Like now we're like family. I love her and her style so much. So that's always inspired me. And then even the Melissa who was here recently of West of Chester, she's super inspirational. Yeah, shout out to her. I haven't met her yet, but hopefully soon.
We gotta link you guys.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. So I love her art and it's so iconic, like showing off all these nostalgic Miami spots, like Dandy Bear. Like, oh my gosh, that hit so hard when I saw it. You know, like that's what you want art to do. You want it to make you feel. You know.
I mean, I love that because you kind of named like a bunch of different types of artists.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like the Miami art scene? Because I know it's kind of become like a hot spot for art, whether it's for the actual art or for other things. But like, do you feel like the Miami art scene is like emerging as like a legitimate place for artists?
I definitely think so. And I think there's new areas popping up, like where we're at right now, this Bird Road area, it's starting to become an art district. Wynwood is on steroids, like it's grown so much. Of course, we have Art Basel every year, you know? And although I love that Miami is such an art spot for the international scene, it makes me feel a little bit jaded sometimes because every time Art Basel comes around, I'm like, hold on, like the Miami artists need a bigger space to play here, you know? But I do love like some of the more pop-up and guerrilla marketing style things happening during Art Basel with local Miami artists. Like last year, I was part of the Beach Towel Show, which was so cool. It was like very organic where a bunch of artists came together and they made their own towel and we laid them all out on the sand. And it was essentially like a pop-up art gallery. And it was some of the best talent in Miami, honestly, like Marlon Pruz. I've met him through my job too. He's incredible. Ruth had a towel. So it was really fun to be part of that because, you know, we were like, it doesn't matter if we're not officially in the fair in there. We're like 2 steps outside on the sand and it was even cooler, you know?
No, sometimes especially after so many years, like the the best events are the ones that you don't even see mentioned. It's just like, if you know, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So where's somewhere you would want to see your art that's like kind of a dream
Oh my gosh. Let's see. I mean, I would love to do more murals around Miami. I did my first one in Glass Bubble, and I felt like, oh my gosh, my baby. So if anyone needs a mural out there, let me know. I'm down. I have a workout mural right now. I definitely need to get one in Wynwood ASAP. It's just so iconic now. But yeah, like even looking at my friend Logs, how he just like, you know, he tags places, like puts his stickers like all over the place. I'm taking notes from his book and doing the same, like tagging my sticker everywhere, etc. But yeah, even like, I think one of my goals this year is just to have my art in more places in general, whether that be professional op or just like a friend who let me paint on their wall, or I just gave out art prints. Like I just want more people to be exposed to it no matter where. So I'm open. Universe, whatever you want, I'm open.
Well, when you're thinking of those things, are you also thinking of how to monetize your art? Or is that something that you're just like, oh, if it comes, it comes, but I just want to keep painting? Or are you consciously like...
It's definitely in my mind, right? Because I think the dream is to become a full-time artist eventually. But I also want multiple streams of income always, because I never want to be so dependent on my art where then it's going to hurt to only make money there. And then if I don't make money, then I can't create what I want to create. So I want a little bit of that freedom to do what I want with it. But eventually I would love, you know, for that to be full time and have different creative streams where I'm making money, because that would be incredible, just making art all the time.
Yeah, no, I think
that's the dream.
Yeah, that's like every artist's dream. But then it's always like when you get on the other side, you're like, then I gotta create art all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're making art to make money, or are you making art just to make art? So it's like finding that balance.
No, for sure. Like I was approached by this conference for a digital tech company that's gonna happen in Fontainebleau soon, and I was one of the 2 last artists that they were gonna choose from to be part of the convention. And it sounded like a really cool opportunity. But at the same time, they were like, oh, we need you to draw on 300 sunglass cases. And I was like, 300? You know, like I gave a price tag. They took it. We did an interview. But I was like, man, like, is this going to be enjoyable for me? Yeah. Like, it's going to feel like a robot just like nonstop making. So even though I would have loved the opportunity, I don't know, maybe I'm not ready for it yet, because it's a big commitment to just like pump it out, you know?
No, but even being aware.
You're not a machine.
To understand that, because maybe you take it and it doesn't go well, and then you lose that.
Exactly.
But it comes with like knowing every situation and like having a 9 to 5 and all that stuff. So like, are there things that you do to kind of prevent burnout? Or I mean, we don't really prevent burnout. It happens, but
the only thing that helps me is meditation, to be honest. Like that has completely changed the game for me. And back to the artist way, it also teaches you to journal every single day as much as you can. And you just like dump all your thoughts into your journal. You do 3 pages of just, what do they call it? Just like long format writing, like not a prompt, just whatever you have on your mind. But yeah, this morning I did 2 meditations because I was a little nervous for this podcast, even though I can't shut up now. But that like helps me go inward and like get out of my fear, believe in like, you know, the limitless possibilities, and like that I have confidence and building up that strength. So yeah, meditation is always what I recommend everyone. I'm like, please just 5 minutes a day.
Are you like sitting down in your space for like extended time, or is it 5 minutes, or is it?
It depends on the day, honestly. Like I've done almost hour-long meditations where I really get into the zone, but I prefer guided meditation. So they'll like, you know, tell you affirmations. It'll guide you to different topics. So like if one day I need a boost of confidence, or one day I need to like just let go of something, there's different prompts and guided meditations to get you through whatever you're thinking. And that has been, it's like free therapy for me. I use Insight Timer. It's my favorite app. And I got Alex into it. My sister's a Pilates coach too. So she does a lot of meditation and inspired me with that as well. But yeah, like seeing my sister and Alex having their own businesses, that has always motivated me to pursue my own thing too. So shout out to them.
You think the meditation also helps in your art? Like,
oh yeah, for sure. Because you know, some of the meditations that I do are about like getting over imposter syndrome, like getting over that fear.
Oh, it's like that specific.
Yeah, like for sure. You could look out, like there's a search bar. You can be like, okay, I need to like boost my creativity today. And they're like, we got
going
you.
on a
Like
podcast
hundreds
today.
of options. Yeah. So it like primes your brain, you know, like before you get into whatever you're doing for the day. And yeah, whatever is going on in my life, I'm like, let's go meditation. Like,
I love that. Yeah, sometimes you just need something to like get out of your head to then go back into your art. But
exactly. And like getting out of that external, right? Like what people think, what you're trying to do versus like what you want to do and what is coming from inside of you versus like trying to please people outside, etc.
yeah, and it's like almost a cliche, but like I feel like at least for me, the people I like to look at on Instagram or the creators I follow, it's like they're so unique and they're just themselves. Like I'm not looking at a similar page of people. It's like, nah, this guy is super different, or girl super different. Like she has her own style, her own, like the way she talks or the way he talks and the way he dresses. But then he's talking about things from his perspective. But then sometimes we're always scared of like just being ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's always the thing that sets you apart.
Exactly. And I feel like, you know, meditation does help me get to that. And it helps me just strengthen who I'm trying to be, you know? And yeah, I definitely recommend it to everyone.
I love that. Well, I always like to ask everyone, my last question is, what does creativity mean to you?
Okay. So, I mean, at its core, I feel like it's just giving life to something that didn't exist before. But I also like to say that it's like the language of our soul, you know, like when you make a painting, write a song, you're expressing yourself in a way that words cannot, you know? And even if you're zooming out from the art industry and you're looking at things like architecture, nature, like there's creative energy everywhere. And I truly believe that everyone has creative inside of them. I think it's really directly tied to spirituality and your spirit. So it goes back to meditation, right? Like priming your soul and your spirit and going inward helps you then put that on a canvas, you know?
Oh, that's a great answer. That's awesome. Well, if you can plug your social medias and the studio as well, because we definitely still got to take a trip out there.
Yes. Okay. Well, my art brand on Instagram, you can find me Moart, Mo Problems with a Z.
That's dope.
I
That's
always like
bars.
to like be funny and spark joy, so that's my name. And then Glass Bubble Miami is the glass art studio, and then Art Bubble is the sister brand that we're growing right now. So we hope to see you there soon, and we could do a class together.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Of
for coming.
course.
I
Thank you for the
appreciate it.
opportunity. It was so much fun. I love it.
Peace. Thank you.